Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another episode of On the Couch with Creatives. I say good morning because I'm here in the UK, but good afternoon or good evening if you're anywhere else in the world. I'm Melanie Perry,
I'm Julie Hyde-Mew.
and this is On the Couch with Creatives. Fans and followers of the show will know, as I keep saying, that we're part of the Creatives Group, the private network for creative professionals everywhere. Together, we help you connect with like-minded individuals. We help you to develop your business so that you can grow and create at your best. If that sounds like a good idea to you and you'd like to join the growing number of creative professionals within our network, please reach out to us after the show. We'd love to hear from you. But this is On the Couch. So, Julie, who do we have on the couch today?
So today on the couch is copywriter Natasha Kingdon. She's a copywriter with a difference, though. Have you heard of conversion copywriting? And it's something that is described as gold dust for businesses. So let's get Natasha on the couch and let's hear all about it. Hello, Natasha. Welcome to On the Couch with Creatives.
Hi, both. It's so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're very interested to hear what you have to say, because obviously we know what copywriting is, which is a very creative industry. But what is conversion copywriting? That's what's so interesting. So before we get into what conversion copywriting is, just give us a brief description of what ordinary, normal copywriting is.
Of course. So it's a great question, and one I'm obviously having to explain a lot. So copywriting is ultimately the copy that we use for advertisements, for any sort of material that we're using to sell a service. So it is quite a creative industry. You can see it in the adverts. You've got the classic iconic ones of, Just Do It with Nike. You've got a lot of different elements of the creative or even SEO-led copywriting. The difference with conversion copywriting is this real focus on actually converting to the next touch point. So the key here is that the conversion part, basically, if we're going to look to translate it in its most simplistic terms, it's the persuasion element. So copywriting as a whole is more to do with writing standard copy, which can inspire and it can educate. Conversion copywriting is all about that extra step of persuasion as well.
Okay, so how do you get there? What is that next step?
So I love explaining conversion copywriting to people because it's something that quite a lot of us intuitively do, but we don't necessarily put it into action. So conversion copywriting, with that extra step of basically helping real people make the better decision in a very distraction-filled world, is all to do with a three-step process of conversion copywriting. First of all, research. Now, people who are writers are like, well, I'm not a researcher. I don't deal with data or anything like that. Research is actually the golden foundation of conversion copywriting. And actually, that is the most critical part to creating a piece of copy or writing that is actually so much more accurate and resonates with your audience so much more. The second phase of the copywriting conversion is writing, wireframing, and editing. So it's leaning on the other principles of behavioral science, the market forces that you're playing with, behavioral psychology, all of these extra juicy bits which come from the research. And then the third part, which is quite often overlooked as well, is actually the validation and experimentation stage. So it's not just about putting copy out there, it's about putting copy out there and learning from it. So conversion copywriting is all about creating a higher rate of conversion. You can only do that if you're actually testing what you're putting out there and optimizing it and validating what you've done. So it's a three-step process which actually lends a higher element of scientific rationale to the writing process.
It's difficult, isn't it? I think this is something that most small businesses certainly really struggle with. And whenever I've had conversations with people about finding their ideal client and so on and so forth. And then all the gurus will say, well, you need to know your ideal client really well. You need to know where they shop, where they go to the toilet, what brand of toilet paper they use, blah, 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 blah. And the more you know, the more chance you're going to have of getting it. And then that freaks people out, thinking, well, actually, I have got quite a fairly wide order. I know I cater to men and I cater to women. And one of my ladies might use aloe vera toilet paper to wipe her ass with. And somebody might use something different. How the hell does that make a difference to what my sales copy is going to be? Do you need to do it in that detail? Or do you just need to it's like finding the common voice of the masses to make, because we all want to convert the masses. We're not talking to one person because we are all individuals. If you're trying to market to that one person who uses aloe vera toothpaste and arse wipe, you're not talking to anybody else.
You are absolutely right there. And actually, you've nailed it. If you're only talking to our aloe vera toilet paper person, then to be honest with you, you're not going to be doing very well with your sales, are you? So what I can reassure business owners, whether it's small or large, is we're not going to be saying to you, find the voice of Sally, the aloe vera toilet paper person who goes to the cinema 3 times a week and has a Sunday roast. No, that is not the sort of persona or understanding your customer that I implore business owners to do. What I suggest people do instead is actually look at what is driving them. What is the real core denominator across your masses that is creating a pain point or a dream state for them to want to achieve that will actually resonate in the copy? So this actually, and I'll deviate a little bit just because it's really great, is there's a book or a framework you might have already heard of. It's called Jobs to be Done framework. And it's, in fact, I've got it on my desk. I've always got a book or two on the desk. So Competing Against Luck by Clayton Christensen is a really great way to think of your product as a job or service as a job. So what you've got to ask yourself is, why is my customer hiring my product or service to do for them? In that sense of, is it that they are, for example, are they buying the new pair of shoes because they need a new pair of shoes? Or are they buying that new pair of shoes because they've got a job interview and they're really nervous and actually they want to make a good impression? The good impression overrides the Sally uses aloe vera and therefore shops at Clark's. We're not talking about shopping at Clark's. We're talking about a deeper motivation or a drive state, which actually then you can then apply that to also not just Sally, who has got a job interview, but you could also apply that to, I don't know, Steve, who is going on a date next week. So he is actually also wanting to make a good impression, and the good impression or looking good style is actually the key driver for them. You can also translate that to other pairs of shoes. Maybe we've got, I don't know, Harry, who goes out in the dog fields all the time and he gets really wet feet with his current shoes. So for him, his driver is a practical driver. Now, how you speak to Sally and Steve versus Harry is actually very, very different because they have got different underlying factors. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then how do you put out 3 pieces of different copy, or how do you speak to different people with different backgrounds?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So a sales page or a website can actually cater to different parts of the motivations or drivers. So for example, say you're looking for, we've got onto this footwear example, I'll run with it as that's what we're on. Harry is looking for functionality. So Harry actually needs the features of the shoe. He needs to know the waterproof level. He needs to know if he can put it in the washing machine. He needs to know how long they're guaranteed for. So we cater for him by providing a grid or a table which actually speaks to all of his worries in one format. And on top of that, you might also cater to Sally, who is looking for a much more inspirational piece by putting a couple of lines descriptions. So you are going to be explaining why she is going to feel good and look good in these shoes. And so by doing that on a page, because this is the key about conversion copywriting, is you're actually wireframing it exactly for the different styles of motivations and drivers and types of people, but all on the same page. So it's much less, and like I said before at the start, is a lot of us do this intuitively. We go, oh, we might need this to, explain the features. We might need this to inspire. And we do it, but it's doing it in a much more research-led and also purposeful way. So you're making sure you are catering to each style and each motivation of your reader all on one page.
We're still talking about one pair of suits, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It appeal to 3 totally different people.
Yes, and that's the beauty of conversion copywriting, is that you can actually cater your copywriting in different styles, in different ways of presenting the information, because that's the other thing, is a lot of people think copywriting is purely writing, it's purely the text, but actually conversion copywriting includes UX principles. It includes the actual specific use cases of different things, and it's a much more scientific way of working. So yes, you are absolutely right, Julie. It is the same pair of shoes, but for different purposes for these different people, all in one page.
I mean, for me,
okay, so do it for, can you do this off the top of your head?
You might be pushing me a little bit. I'll give it a go.
Okay, so do it for creatives. Let's throw this at you. So we are a networking group, a private networking group. We have private members that pay a monthly membership fee. For that, they get a monthly networking event, sometimes 2. They get, we support them. We get, people give each other advice. We promote them over social media. And we also push or introduce our members to people who aren't within the group, because we all have connections, right?
But the rub is, and this is where we're different, is that we cater to every single type of person who is in a creative industry. So we are not just talking about the film directors, the artists, the painters, the graphic designers. We're also talking about engineers, scientists, and people who have to invent, create, and innovate. So it's I guess creatives and innovators and people who think in a very different way. So we've got, like, this is probably why Julie brought it up, we've got a broad spectrum of people that we want to appeal to, because people think, oh, well, a scientist isn't the same as an artist. Actually, they are, because the brain kind of works the same way. It's just different topics. But how would you do that?
Okay, so interestingly, you've actually done it in that introduction. Okay, so Julie, you mentioned that you've got all of these different elements of creatives. You've got the connection part. Okay, so the networking, meeting new people, a real shared community of collaboration. You've also got a referral system in place where you're introducing people further than just standard networking, but for jobs and for maybe opportunities that they wouldn't have been able to find elsewhere outside of creatives. And you've also got an underlying business growth piece as well. So let's just simplify it to those 3 things. You've got community, you've got business growth, and you've got opportunity. Okay, so actually what you've done is you've actually managed to somehow group both scientists and creative artists into the same category, in the sense that both scientists and the creative artists are looking for opportunities to be connected with people they wouldn't normally be connected with. Okay, so creatives have this incredible opportunity there because of what you guys do and how you connect people, to actually go, right, well, do you know what, we're going to help you step outside of just your standard industry, because obviously a lot of industries are quite narrow sometimes as well. So particularly in tech industries, I've found with my previous clients, everyone knows everyone. It can be quite hard to do anything different or outside of that box. Now, creatives offers a great opportunity for people to go outside of that. That is in itself a message that you can drive that will actually be really exciting for both scientists as well as the artists, as well as the singer-song deck players, that all go with this underlying, oh, actually, that's really helpful for me. Now, let's switch that.
It's not mutually exclusive either, on the level that at some point a scientist is going to need a website designer or a copywriter. And they go around, they say, right, I've invented something. I want somebody to now mock it up, make up the slide presentation for investors. I can't do that. I don't know the first thing about drawing things and writing. So it's not just that they can meet on a creative level where they're like-minded people, a scientist or an artist, but meeting people that are not like them, that they complement each other in their business endeavors.
Yeah.
So you've got that extra level as well.
So, but that's still catered to within an umbrella term as such of it's meeting people. Now, how you speak about that in different ways, that's obviously a greater piece that you can do by the research. You can really dive into what is the biggest drivers for people joining you or who you want to join you. What is the driver for that? But it all sits under that umbrella term of, you know, meeting people outside of your industry, which is actually going to be a key motivator for somebody to join your creatives group. And I think being able to really look at it from the human level and go, right, what is it they are hoping to achieve or gain? Because that's, you've got to remember, as humans, we only kind of do things if there's something in it for us. So actually understanding and tapping into that is a much more human way of operating on your copy than saying, oh, this person throwing down, you know, well, you get X amount of meetings per month. Well, that's great, but what is it that I get out of that? And it's putting those motivations via whichever categories. And bear in mind also, there can be crossover. There definitely can be crossover because people are motivated by multiple things, but it's really getting to the source of what is driving your ideal audience member. And again, multiple categories and pots, and then you cater to that within your copy.
There's a guy that I follow avidly who's an absolute god to me, who massive big name in the advertising industry in the 80s, which to me the golden era of the 80s. And Dave Trott is his name, and I think I've probably got every book he's ever written. But he says, and this is something that I do try and educate my clients with, because as a video marketer, you know, yes, we know the whole marketing thing, but I focus more on the visual marketing. Is that when you have a campaign, if you're writing copy for a campaign or people, and again, this is what I think it's fair to make the distinction about, you know, campaigns and videos and stuff like that, is when you're trying to focus on a message to your audience, you need to kind of, and then we had the example of shoes earlier, that you can, you know, push wellies and high heels and the same thing. But to really target in on your audience, you do need to focus on one thing at a time. You know, it's winter and it's wet, so now would be a good time to focus on the wellies. You know, the summer or the January where people are moving around and more likely to get a job interview, that's when you want to maybe promote your high heel interview thing, or even at Christmas, your high heels office party.
Yeah.
And you have a specific kind of set message for each piece, because people like it to be simple.
Yes.
You know, absolutely. You need to talk to your person, but it's got to be simple. They need to see that thing and think, right, that's me right there. I need wellies, so I've seen the welly bit. I'm not interested in high heels. You know, Harry is in the field, is not going to want to look at high heels. You know, and splitting it out. And I find that people find that small businesses again find it really difficult if they offer multiple services and they say, oh, well, I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this. And I was thinking, yeah, but pick the one thing for now, pick the one thing and focus on that. Because if you don't, it gets watered down. You have to be very specific, don't you?
So absolutely, Dave Trott has it on the nail of the head there. And actually that's a conversion copywriter rule is one reader, one idea, one promise, and one offer. So those absolutely, like you say, you have to be really clear and succinct. And I clearly wasn't earlier. So actually Harry and Steve, hypothetically talking, were looking at the same shoes. So was Sally. We're looking at a boot, just call it a boot. But how you would tailor that to, you know, the different audiences. You can look good in the fields, or, you know, hypothetically speaking, you can look good on your date and you can look good in the fields. But what you would be looking at for those different audiences is which piece is most important. So having the features piece, because you know, you can still have shoes that look good and are also waterproof, but what you are buying that for on that level is actually different. So absolutely, it's a case of keeping it as clear as possible. And I'll touch upon that in my tips later on. But it is really important to make sure that you've got that one reader in mind, one idea in mind, one promise in mind, and one offer in mind, because people are overwhelmed. We're in this information economy where we are absolutely bombarded with advertisements, with offers, with products, with, you know, the bar of entry nowadays with this rate of technology is so much lower. Therefore, the opportunity for businesses to come into the mix is so much higher. But that's also how you stand out, is owning that one element through and through. Even if you've got more than one product, you just own that core messaging of what really is driving you.
But you don't have, you don't write copy just for advertisements, do you? I mean, if you could write copy for a person who wants to portray themselves as a professional actor, for argument's sake, and the blurb on their LinkedIn page, on their profile page, is really bad. You would take an individual on and write that copy because you're selling them as a product. So you must have a wide variety of clients.
Oh, yes. We go, do you know what? It's been a fascinating journey for me. I've been doing this for a long time now, over a decade. And actually the realms and the industries that I've worked in has been so varied. And the key thread that links them all together is understanding a human-led approach. So like you said, is if you're hiring somebody to write your LinkedIn profile, for example, again, coming back to what I said before, people want to buy something that benefits them. Okay, so as much as you can be the most incredible person, if I can't see why I should hire you, then I'm not interested. So it's even tailoring the LinkedIn profiles to talk to the reader in the same way a blog post or a brochure or a, you know, I've done a blooming St. Patrick's limerick before. It's all about getting the reader at the heart of it, which comes back to my first stage of this conversion process of research, is making sure that that reader is at the heart of everything we do. Because actually, without that, you know, storytelling is probably the oldest thing we have as humans. It's the most evolutionary quirk we've got that defines us from any other species on this planet, is this ability to create stories, share stories, and also connect around stories, which actually makes us different as humans. And being able to apply that within, you know, business, within our homes, within social constructs around the world, that is what ties us together as society. And that is all comes down to research in the first place. So it's a really versatile skill that I will, you know, apply to multiple different industries and also in different ways, because you really are, based on the research, you're talking to different motivators, you're talking to those different pain points or dream states, which really makes a difference in how you are approaching that.
So tell us about SEO. What the hell is SEO, and why do you need it? And what magical elf thing is it that is going to suddenly make copy go viral?
So I will not claim to be an SEO expert. I use SEO as a really good guide. And SEO as a guide for small business owners and large business owners really helps you to hone in on the intent. So the search intent. So SEO top level is search engine optimization. All that means is we're trying to make sure that our copy, our websites, whatever piece of content or copy that we're putting out there is actually catering to the desires or the search intent of our users or our readers. So in the sense of conversion copywriting, for me, how I would use it is going, right, so we've got this topic on, I don't know, we'll call it networking. People are trying to find creatives, okay? Or we want them to find us. What are people who are looking for networking searching when they go to Google? Because that's the reality. We go to Google for everything. Any question we've got, any answer we want to find, Google is our first port of call. So actually looking at the search level of certain terms, certain phrases, the questions that come up with, people also ask at the bottom of the Google page when you're searching through. These are all really key indicators of what people want to find on Google. And so when you're translating that into your copy and your business, you are trying to make sure you are hitting that. You are answering their questions. You want to be the page that they go, oh, thank you, you've answered my question on that. You are trying to be more than just a business selling something. You're selling actually your expertise, and you're demanding that your authority, you're making sure that you are being seen as more than just a business trying to sell things, but actually a far greater authority on the matter as well. And I think being able to do that with SEO gives you a really good guide of who or what your people are searching for.
Okay. Didn't understand any of that, but anyway. No, I did. Honestly, it's because I'm a visual creative person. When people start talking to me about things like, like lengthy words to read and questions and typing out loads of stuff, like 5 seconds, and I've kind of glossed over, and I'm like,
Well, I'll do a quick summary for you then. If for copywriting or conversion copywriting is making sure that your writing answers what they need. That's the short answer if I'm going to tweet it in a summary.
Talk to me as if you're a tweeter. Well, that's X though, isn't it now? We're X now, or Threads or whatever we're on now. Because it can be quite complex. And I say, being a small business owner, there's so much out there telling you what to do and do this and do that. And you're right. Human beings are led by stories and led by emotion. And in marketing and sales, people buy with emotion first and foremost, no matter what it is, whether it is a product, whether it's going to the cinema, whether we choose anything, emotion drives us. So for me, it's great because I'm very emotional and I love to tell those emotional stories and use music in my videos and stuff like that. But when it comes to kind of putting that in writing, in like sales copy, I'm like a rabbit in headlights. I'm like, oh my God, I've got to turn that into words. It fills me with dread.
But there's a really interesting way that you probably know your clients better than anyone. You know the sorts of people you are talking to, you know what actually motivates them or makes them go, oh no, I don't want to do that, exactly like you did. I don't want to do words. Well, actually, a piece of sales copy that says, are you one of those people that looks at a blank piece of paper and you freeze like a rabbit in the headlights, and you're going, yes, that's me, and actually you could do that in your words speaking. It's only the physical act of writing it out. So my tip for people who are doing something like that is actually voice note yourself talking, voice note yourself having a conversation when you're being grilled as a business owner, because chances are you do know your stuff. You do know what you need to be saying. And then after you voice noted it, you can transcribe it and go, oh yeah, that's a really good point. The rabbit in the headlights, that's a really good hook there that I can use to apply to other people like me.
Yeah, well, that takes us to your top tips. Give us your 3 top tips for copywriters.
Absolutely. So this is applicable for copywriters, conversion copywriters, business owners. This is applicable, I think, in life, which is my number 1 is do your research. Spend time doing your research. And this is such an old adage in the sense of, do your market research before you go to market, and all of that stuff that you get, you know, bombarded with as you start a business. But I cannot express to you how important doing that research is in terms of understanding not your product, not what toilet paper you use, but really what is driving your audience to make a decision, to convert, to actually buy from you. That exchange of money, that's driven by spending your time doing research. So without a doubt, that is my fundamental top tip for anybody looking to write anything, is make sure you do that research beforehand. My number 2 tip, which again, I feel like I'm teaching everyone how to suck eggs with this, but remember you're speaking to another human, okay? Whether you're trying to do sales copy that's B2B or B2C, what people forget is that actually it's human to human. So that's actually where my business name comes from, H2 words. It's human to human, or human squared as such. It's making sure that you're understanding that at every click on a website, at every touch point of a, you know, exchange of card details, you're always writing to a human at the end of the day. And too often, especially with, you know, AI and this ability to be like, oh, well, I can just put it in there. It's going, right, what is the human touch to that? And am I speaking to that human? That's my number 2 tip. And my number 3, which actually touches on, Mel, what you said earlier about Dave Trott, which is, if you can't justify it, then get rid of it. Be intentional with your words. People are time poor. If you cannot say why you are putting a sentence in, or even a word into your copy, to be honest with you, it's not needed. Because if the job can be done without it, then your readers will thank you, because they are time poor. So those are my 3 top tips for you. 1, do your research. That is so critical for understanding. Number 2, it's just a human. It's just a human at the end of the day. I promise you, even if it's B2B, it's still a human reading it at the end of the day. And number 3, if you can't justify it, then get out your savage internal, you know, cutter and just cut away that extra bit of work that you don't need. If you can't justify
Julie, she'll cut it out. She's a brilliant proofreader, copyright editor person. Just
exactly.
If you've got too many words, send it to Julie. She'll literally send it back in seconds, much better than it is. And if you hate research like me, send it to someone like Natasha, who might do the research for you.
Absolutely.
Because I hate research.
Okay, now let's delve into your psyche, Natasha, not your target audience or your client or customer base. Let's look inside your brain, your creative brain. So over to you, Melanie.
I'm going to get my cards out. My cards. Right, it's my favourite bit. I love these cards. They're so silky.
Oh,
for a while. How about Julie? My cards, my silky cards. I won't go down that rabbit hole. I won't.
Dragging out the anticipation here.
Just put
she always has a moment. She always has a moment with the cards.
Oh, cool. I haven't had a moment for ages. Was that? Right, okay. Okay, I'm going to run my finger along the cards. You tell me stop when you want me to pick a card. Stop. Oh, right in the middle.
Yeah.
Right in the middle. Let's have a look what we got. Right, let's have a look. You picked what? What did you pick? What did you pick? Oh, the anticipation. Right, hold on a second. You picked health. Okay, the value of health.
Okay.
So as we are all creatives here, we are going to ask you very creatively about health.
Okay.
Mental health, or just health in general. What does health mean to you, Natasha? What does it look, feel, and sound like?
Look, feel, and sound like. Do you know what? I think that you couldn't have chosen a less applicable card, as I'm guilty of probably not putting this in the forefront as I should. health, what does it mean look and feel like or sound like to me? So health looks like to me, I'd say it looks, can I say it looks and feels the same way, or is that a bit of a cheat?
No,
I think it looks and feels like balance. And I think a lot of us in the creative industry quite often give a lot of our souls and a lot of our selves to our work, just the nature of who we are and the beauty of our work, should I say. But I think being able to have balance where you can switch off, where you can, you know, say, do you know what, I'm hurting today, I'm going to just take a day off because I'm unwell, or I'm actually going to take a me day just because, do you know what, I'm feeling really overwhelmed and stressed today. I think looking and feeling like balance for me is health embodied, because actually if you don't have a balance, you'll never even know if you are unhealthy, because you won't have even had the capacity to think about that. So I would say that is the look and feel for health for me, is just that balance element. How it sounds like, this will make you laugh, and this is the first thing that came to my head. How it sounds like is a way of talking that doesn't mean that my very sensitive dog comes and puts his head on me. So my gorgeous dog Otto, if I'm feeling stressed and he can hear my voice going up a few octaves, he will come and he'll just put his head on me like that. And I'm like, okay, I now know, I can hear it. I need to tone it down a bit. So it's almost like going, right, drop the shoulders, drop the octaves. And that is honestly how I probably sound. If health sounds like to me is a lower tone where I'm not up a few ladders of octaves.
Shriller.
Yes, exactly. And I have that ability. And also, I think the key thing here as well is it doesn't sound rushed. So coming back to balance as well. So I've actually found, for example, this call has been really enjoyable. So I don't feel like I've been, you know, on this hamster wheel of trying to get out my words and all the rest of it, where I might be in a client call where I'm really nervous and I'm going, please understand the value of this. And I'm going, oh, do you get it? And I think so that's for me the sound. The sound is the lower octaves and the slower pace.
Because we started talking about aloe vera toilet paper, wasn't it?
It was a great setting of the scene.
So quickly, before we wrap up, what does it smell like to you?
What does health smell like? I think health smells like the Irish fresh sea air. And I say the Irish because I've gone to Ireland as a kid, and I honestly, you get out of the car and you smell the peat in the air, and you smell a freshness which I just don't feel like I can manage to capture here. So health to me is the peaty, fresh Irish air by the ocean. That sounds really cringy when I say it, but that is the first thing that came to my head when you said that.
Love it.
Well, I'm sure you've picked up a lot of Irish fans and clients on that remark alone.
But I love the accent as well, so it's all good.
Natasha, it's been wonderful having you on the couch. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us and obviously giving us a little bit more of an understanding of not just copywriting, but conversion copywriting. It's really interesting stuff.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, it really has. Thank you so much. We've learned loads today. Very, very educational as well as being inspirational. Thank you to Julie for joining me on the couch. Massive thank you to Natasha for joining us on the couch. But until next time, we'll see you.